I am grateful for the invitation to be able to say a few words of greeting as you celebrate this 66th annual conference of the Dewey Society of Japan. I'm especially pleased that you have selected Soka University of Japan as your meeting venue. I served for 15 years on the Board of Trustees of SUJ's sister university, Soka University of America, or SUA. I'm therefore well aware of the commitment of Mr. Daisaku Ikeda, the founder of these great universities, to the values of democracy, education, and education that Dewey articulated and defended during his long career. This university honors what some have termed 4 keys to Dewey's pedagogy: theme-based learning, peer-based learning, service-based learning, and commitment to the role of the teacher as coach. Mr. Ikeda's high regard for Dewey and his educational philosophy is evident in the status of SUJ as one of the leading universities in Japan. When I spoke to your society last year, I noted that there are now Dewey Research Centers in many countries, some including those in France, Poland, Turkey, Argentina, Brazil, and Spain, and also Switzerland, Ireland, and Japan, were founded as cooperative ventures involving the Center for Dewey Studies at Southern Illinois University, Carbondale, the John Dewey Foundation, and local universities and other institutions. These research centers joined several existing centers in Italy at the University of Calabria, in China at Fudan University, and in Germany at the University of Cologne. This global reach of Dewey's influence continues to expand. When I spoke to your society last year, for example, I mentioned recent scholarly works on Dewey and Confucianism and Dewey and Taoism. Now we can add to that list a major work by Scott Stroud on Dewey's influence on Bhimrao Ambedkar, the Indian political reformer and champion of the despised Dalits, formerly known as the Untouchables. As many of you no doubt know, Ambedkar attended Dewey's lectures at Columbia University from 1914 to 1916. In his speeches in India many years later, he quotes Dewey verbatim. I'm pleased to report that there is now a Center for the Study of Dewey and Ambedkar in India. Stroud has argued that an important influence on Ambedkar's work, in addition to that of Dewey, was a 2,000-year-old Indian indigenous pragmatism. And we know that the work of pragmatists Charles Sanders Peirce, William James, John Dewey, and Jane Addams, among others, was inspired by an indigenous American pragmatism. And it has been suggested, and rightly so, I believe, that the educational practice of Tsuneseburo Makaguchi grew out of a strain in Japan's culture that can well be called its own indigenous pragmatism. I mention the Dewey Research Centers in order to say this. As we know, Dewey thought that among the keys to robust educational practice are 3 C's: connection, cooperation, and continuity. I therefore believe that more connection, cooperation, and continuity among world Dewey centers and Dewey societies offers the promise of great educational rewards. It is true that some of these centers are more active than others, but each one of them has its own projects located in its own cultural context. In Poland, for instance, there's emphasis on the arts. In Italy, emphasis is on teacher training for democracy and education in Calabria, one of the poorest and least developed areas of that country. In France, there's been research on the influence of Hushu on Dewey's lectures in China. In Germany, there's been an exploration of connections between the Cologne program of interactive social constructivism and Dewey's pragmatism, especially for educational practice. There is, of course, much more room for globalizing Dewey's educational practice and his wider influence. Your society continues to play an important role in this effort. You can be proud of its place in the project of globalizing Dewey's influence. I therefore congratulate you on the rich history and the vibrant present of the Dewey Society of Japan. I am confident of your continuing success. I regret that I could not be there with you in person, something that I would love very much, but I do send my best regards for an enjoyable and productive 66th annual meeting. Thank you so very much.